Before you scroll away, imagine this for just a moment. A tiny 10-year-old boy walks onto one of the biggest stages in the world. He is shaking with fear, wearing old shoes that have been stitched together more than once, and holding nothing but a microphone and a dream. No one expects what happens next. By the time he finishes singing, thousands of people are crying, and even the toughest judge in the room cannot hide his tears. Stay until the very end because this fictional story carries a message that could change the way you look at dreams forever. And if stories like this inspire you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another unforgettable journey. This is a fictional story inspired by talent competitions and the incredible courage of young dreamers. 10-year-old Miguel Santos lived in a small fishing village in the Philippines where every morning began before sunrise. While most children were still asleep, Miguel was already helping his father untangle fishing nets beside the quiet ocean. His hands were small, but they worked hard. His family had very little money, yet every evening, after the work was done, the tiny wooden house became filled with something richer than gold: music. Miguel's mother loved to sing while cooking rice over a small stove. His grandmother hummed old Filipino folk songs while sewing clothes for neighbors. Miguel listened carefully, memorizing every note. Soon he was singing louder than everyone else, filling the little home with a voice that seemed impossible for someone so young. His father always smiled and said, "Our house may be small, but your voice is bigger than the ocean." Miguel believed him. Every afternoon after school, Miguel climbed a hill overlooking the sea. There was an old mango tree where he practiced singing. The waves became his audience. The wind carried his voice across the water. Birds often landed on nearby branches as if they wanted to listen too. One day, an old tourist recorded Miguel singing without telling him. Weeks later, that short video appeared online. Thousands of people watched it. Soon, millions had seen the little Filipino boy singing with tears in his eyes beneath the mango tree. The comments came from every corner of the world. "Someone give this child a chance. I've never heard so much emotion from someone so young. He deserves the biggest stage." Months later, something unbelievable happened. A letter arrived. Miguel had been invited to audition for one of the world's biggest talent competitions. The entire village celebrated. Neighbors cooked food. Children danced in the streets. Even fishermen who rarely smiled hugged Miguel's father. But excitement quickly turned into worry. The family couldn't afford passports, travel expenses, or proper clothes. Miguel quietly overheard his parents talking late at night. His mother whispered, "Maybe dreams like this are only for rich families." His father remained silent. Miguel returned to his room pretending he had heard nothing, but tears rolled down his face. The next morning, something extraordinary happened. The villagers came together. One fisherman donated part of his weekly earnings. A teacher organized a fundraiser. Local musicians held a small concert. An elderly woman handed Miguel a tiny envelope filled with coins she had been saving for years. "I won't live forever," she smiled. "But maybe I'll hear your voice on television." Within weeks, the impossible became possible. Miguel and his parents boarded an airplane for the first time in their lives. Miguel pressed his face against the window, watching the clouds below. He whispered, "Maybe dreams really do fly." When they finally arrived at the competition venue, everything felt enormous. Bright lights. Huge cameras. Thousands of people. Contestants warming up everywhere. Some had professional vocal coaches. Others wore expensive designer clothes. Miguel wore a neatly pressed white shirt bought from a second-hand market. His shoes had been carefully polished until they almost looked new. Backstage, several contestants ignored him. One teenager quietly laughed. "He's just a kid." Another said, "He'll be too nervous." Miguel lowered his head. Then his mother gently held his hand. "You are not here to compete against anyone. You are here to tell your story." Those words stayed with him. Finally, the stage manager called his name. Miguel took one deep breath and walked toward the spotlight. The theater suddenly became silent. The judges smiled politely. One asked him, "What's your name?" "My name is Miguel. I'm 10 years old. I'm from the Philippines." "What made you come here?" Miguel looked toward the audience where his parents sat. "My parents sacrificed everything so I could stand here today." The audience applauded softly. "What would winning mean to you?" Miguel smiled. "I don't want to become famous. I just want my parents to stop worrying about tomorrow." The room became quiet. Even before he sang, hearts were beginning to change. The music started. Miguel closed his eyes. The first note floated gently across the theater. No one expected such a powerful sound. Every lyric carried memories. Memories of early mornings by the sea. Of storms that destroyed fishing boats. Of nights when dinner was smaller than hope. Of parents who never gave up. As the song continued, people stopped blinking. Camera operators wiped away tears. Audience members reached for tissues. The judges exchanged emotional glances. Miguel wasn't simply singing. He was sharing his entire childhood through music. Then came the final chorus. His voice soared higher than anyone imagined possible. The theater exploded into applause before the last note had even ended. People stood. Then more people stood. Within seconds, the entire audience was on their feet. The applause refused to stop. Miguel looked overwhelmed. He had never seen so many people clapping for him. One judge quietly wiped tears away. Another smiled through watery eyes. Simon Cowell sat silently for several seconds, unable to speak. Finally he looked at Miguel. "I judged thousands of performances." He paused. "But what touched me wasn't just your voice. It was your heart." Miguel covered his mouth. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. The audience cheered even louder. Simon stood up. He slowly reached toward the golden button. Everything seemed frozen. Miguel looked confused. His parents stood in complete disbelief. Simon smiled warmly. "You reminded everyone in this room why dreams matter." He pressed the golden buzzer. Golden confetti exploded into the air. Miguel fell to his knees crying. His mother ran onto the stage. His father hugged both of them so tightly that none of them wanted to let go. The audience continued cheering for what felt like forever. Confetti floated around them like tiny golden stars. Backstage, contestants who had once doubted Miguel now congratulated him. Many admitted they had judged him far too quickly. One whispered, "You taught all of us something today." News of Miguel's performance spread across the world. Schools in the Philippines gathered students to celebrate. Children watched the performance together. Teachers encouraged students to believe in themselves. Local musicians invited Miguel to perform. Charities offered support for his education. Companies donated musical instruments to schools in his hometown. His village changed too. The little hill beneath the mango tree became known as Dreamer's Hill. Children visited every afternoon to sing. Parents stopped telling their children that impossible dreams were impossible. Instead they said, "Remember Miguel." Years later, Miguel returned to the same fishing village. He had grown taller, but his smile remained exactly the same. He built a music center where children could learn for free. He bought his parents a safe home overlooking the ocean. Every evening, he still visited the old mango tree. Not because he needed a stage, but because that was where hope had first found him. One little girl asked him, "How do I become successful?" Miguel smiled gently. "You don't chase success. You chase purpose. When your heart is honest, success eventually finds you." The sun slowly disappeared beyond the ocean. Children's voices filled the evening air. Dreams once trapped inside tiny homes were now being sung loudly beneath the open sky. And perhaps the greatest miracle was never the applause, the television lights, or even the golden buzzer. The greatest miracle was that one small boy proved that kindness can lift an entire village, courage can silence fear, and a single voice, no matter where it comes from, can remind the whole world that hope is louder than doubt. So whenever life tells you that your dream is too small, remember Miguel's journey. Remember that greatness doesn't begin with money, fame, or perfect circumstances. It begins with believing in yourself when no one else can hear your song. Because sometimes, the smallest voice carries the biggest miracle.